Pesachim Daf Chav Beis. Today's first email comes from Avi Sherman. He sent in a picture of him and two other members of the Shir, Rabbi Yisrael Goldstein and Rabbi Kessler. Another email from Jonathan Stern from London. He says he's a retired menaker, and the Gid Hanosh is not a sinew, rather it's the sciatic nerve. Retired menaker, Jonathan Stern from London, UK. Yishur Kayach. Says the Gemara, according to Rabbi Yehuda, how do we know that when the Torah says that you shouldn't eat food, it also means you shouldn't benefit from the food? Says the Gemara, we learn it from Treifa. Says you shouldn't eat Treifa, yet you're allowed to give it to the dog, like Kelef, Tashlich, you're allowed to benefit from it. Meaning, only in the case of Treifa, but anywhere else in the Torah would be Asr Bahana. According to a mayor who doesn't learn from Treifa, he learns from Nevela. What does he do with the word Oisai, that Rabbi Yehuda is learning from? He learns that if you bring Chulin into the Hazara, in other words, you bring an animal to Shech in the Hazara, but it's not for a carbon, just for your own benefit, it's Asr Bahana, Midairaisa, because of the word Oisai. According to Rabbi Yehuda, it's not Asr Midairaisa, therefore, you don't need a word to be marbet. The Torah says it's Asr to eat the Gid Hanasha, the sciatic nerve. And it says, Lo Yoichlu. That should include also Isra Hana, according to Rabavo. Yet, you're allowed to benefit from it. You're allowed to give a guy a piece of meat that includes the Gid Hanasha, and you're going to benefit from it as long. And the Gemara says, we're not concerned that the guy will turn around and sell it to a Jew, and the Jew will think that it's mutter to eat because he saw you giving it to the guy. Because it's Nikr Makayma, you could tell that the Gid Hanasha is still there. Says the Gemara, that's because the Gid Hanasha is included in Avela. Just like in Avela you're allowed to benefit from, so too the Gid Hanasha and Chaylev. But according to Reb Shimon that says, Ein begidim benois tam, the Gid Hanasha doesn't have flavor at all, so it's not meat. So how could it be considered an Avela? It's not considered part of an Avela. An Avela means meat. Therefore, according to Reb Shimon, you're right. Gid Hanasha is Asr Bahana. According to Reb Yehuda that says, Yesh begidim benois tam, Gid Hanasha does have flavor. He says it is mutar bahana like an Avela. And it comes out that according to Rabbi Yehuda, if you eat a Gid Hanasha of a Behema Tmeya, you'd be over on two lavim. One for Behema Tmeya and one for Gid Hanasha. But according to Rabbi Shimon, you're not over any Yisur. It's like eating the horn of a non-kosher animal. It doesn't have flavor, it's not considered meat, so therefore you're not over on anything. The Torah says by dam, blood, loy soicha. That should include Isra Hana. Yet, we know that the blood of the Chadas HaPnimi, together with the blood of the Chadas HaChitzoni, the two Chatais, they mix up, they go into the Amma, the drainage pipe, and later on it's sold as fertilizer. So you see, you could benefit from the blood. Says the Gemara, that's because there's a hekesh to water. It says, just like water you can benefit from, so too blood. Don't say we're dealing with the waters that are usher to benefit from, such as the water that you pour in the Mizbeach on Sukkot, or water that was poured in front of Avodah Zarah. Those are not shvicha al haaretz tishbacheno. Those are nesicha. According to Chizkiah, you don't need a hekesh from water to dam. By him, anyway, there's no isar hana because it doesn't say lo ye'achal. It says a different lashon. So therefore, why do I need the hekesh from water to dam? To teach us that the blood of kachim in the Beis Hamikdash is not roy to make food mukhshel lekabel tuma. You need one of the seven liquids. One of the seven liquids is blood, not the blood of the Beis Hamikdash. Every menachai, we're going through the whole list, a tremendous long list of isurei achila. Every menachai, a limb from a live animal. The Torah also says, loy soichal. That should be according to Rebbe Avoa, Isra Hana. And the only reason why you can't give Ever Menachai to a Ben Noach is because of Lifnei Iver. But not because you're not allowed to have an It seems like you're allowed to have an from it. I think Gemara says you're right, you're allowed to have an from Ever Menachai. Why? Because there's a hekesh from Ever Menachai to blood. And blood, we said already, is mutar bahana. According to Chizkiah, that you don't need a hekesh because it doesn't say lo yachel. He's going to take this hekesh and teach us that dam hakaza, when you let blood from an animal, and there's different stages, but the blood that the neshamat luyva, that if the animal loses its blood, it will die, it's asur to drink just like Eber Menachai. Shar haniskal, an ox that killed a human being and was condemned to death, you're not allowed to benefit from it. Or maybe yes, the Torah says lo yoichel. Now this, even according to Chizkiah, should mean isur hana. Now, the question is, why does the Torah say don't eat it? It's an avela. It was stoned to death. Of course you can't eat it. So the Gemara says because you shechted it after it was condemned to death, after its sentence, and it's telling us that it's also even in hana. And the fact that the Torah says ubal hashar naki, which would seem like perhaps there's a heter hana, it's to teach us that there's a isser to benefit from the hide of the shar haniskal. I think the whole isser is bisarai, it's meat, but not its hide. Kamashmal and also its hide. Now, there's a mandama that says the word naki doesn't teach us hide. The word naki tells us that we know that an animal that gores 3 times becomes a mu'ad. Before that, he's a tam, and he only has to pay half of the damages. If an animal that gored 3 times kills a human being, he has to pay something called kaifer. So I would think that if an animal is a tam, he should pay 50% of the kaifer. And naki tells us he doesn't pay anything at all. Another halach is, if a human being tries to punch somebody by mistake, punches a woman and she loses her pregnancy, he has to pay dmei v'lades, whatever the baby is worth. Yet an ox that makes a woman lose her pregnancy, you don't have to pay anything at all from the word naki. So how does he know that you cannot benefit from the hides? The Gemara says, because it says es besari hatafel, what is extra and above and beyond the meat, meaning the hide is also. And the Tanna Kama doesn't darshan the word es. As the famous Gemara, Shimon Hamsuni, he had drushes on every single es that the Torah says. Es l'rabbis, what does it come to add? Until he came to the pasuk, es Hashem elikecha tira, how could you add HaKadosh Baruch Hu? So he retracted all his drushes, and his Talmidim said, Rebbe, what's going to be with all the drushes you said? And he said, just like you get schar on making a drush, on saying a drush, you get schar from retracting, from not saying the wrong thing, until Rabbi Akiva came and said, es Hashem elikecha tira, l'rabbis Talmid Chachamim, comes to include that you should have special fear and respect for Talmid Chachamim. By R Eli it says, lo yoichel. So according to everyone, Chizki and Ribavo, it should mean Isser Hana. And the Torah says, V'araltim arlosi arelim, to teach us 3 things. You cannot benefit from its paint. You shouldn't paint with it. You shouldn't light a candle. You shouldn't have any halal from it. The Torah says, lochem, I would think that it belongs to you. You could benefit from it. So then what does the lochem come to tell us? If you can't benefit anything at all, so why is it for you? So according to the Tanna Kama, that even a tree that was planted for the public, there's an Isser Arla. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, there's no Isser Arla. Why? Because unatata means you plant it for you, for the individual, and for the public. Lachem means for everybody, even the public. So you have a riboy and then another riboy. In riboy achar riboy, elo lemayit, and it comes to exclude a tree planted for the rabbim, that there's no arla on such a tree. Have a wonderful day.